Hi everyone, how's everyone doing? Hope you're all well. Now, before we kick off with this webinar session, if anybody's having any sort of technical challenges in viewing this webinar session at all, what I'd highly recommend is to go through the usual kind of troubleshooting if something doesn't work for us first time around when it comes to any type of technology. So feel free to hit the refresh button now on your web browser page. Alternatively, if you are tuning in on a mobile device, feel free to come out of the YouTube app and then click back on the link that you received for this YouTube live stream webinar session. Hopefully everything will load correctly for you in the YouTube app and will be working for you on your end. If you are all set up and are all ready, and that's great news. What I definitely recommend to you, always feel free to grab yourself a pen and a paper just so you can jot down some notes as we go along throughout the course of this session. Also, another thing to note is that throughout the course of this webinar session, live captioning is available. So if you did want to switch on that feature, feel free to hover over onto this YouTube video and you'll see that inside of a little square box are the letters CC. That is the icon to turn captioning on or off throughout the course of this live stream. So I hope everyone's geared up and ready. So welcome to this Google Digital Garage webinar session, all about how you can use social media stories to grow your online reach. My name is Rikesh. I'm going to be your presenter, taking you through the course of this session, which is going to last for a short bite-sized time of 15 minutes. So I'll kick off with a little bit about me briefly. So I'm a trainer for Google's digital skills program, Google Digital Garage. As well as that, I'm also a digital marketer. So I work with businesses to help them to create and to grow an online presence in order to attract more customers and clients to them. And a large part of that does involve having a strong social media presence. And we're going to be diving into one of kind of the functions and features of social media platforms, which is stories, in this particular webinar session. So that's kind of just a little bit about me. I'd also like to introduce to you at this stage my colleague and fellow Google Digital Garage trainer, and that is the wonderful Samantha. Now, Samantha is going to be our chat moderator today. So whilst you won't see Samantha on screen, you will see Samantha appearing in the live chat. And the live chat should be located on the right-hand side of your YouTube screen right now. So that is your space over the course of the next 15 minutes that we have together to drop in any comments, drop in any questions that you might have. So feel free to kind of drop any of those comments or questions in the time that we have together, and a combination of either myself and or Samantha will be able to provide our thoughts in the time that we have together. So let's actually have a look at the first session that we're going to be looking at, the first kind of area that we're going to be looking at in this webinar session, all about how we can use social media stories to grow our online reach. So first of all, we're going to be understanding how stories can help our business, which is very important to do. And the way that I like to kind of explain this is that it's very much like a filter process. So if you think about that kind of age-old cliche from a business perspective, which is that time is money. So if we are going to be spending time creating stories for our social media profiles, what's the upside? What's the benefit to us? So that's why we're going to be looking at that first and foremost. Once we've done that, we're then going to be looking at what sort of elements make up a social media story, and what kind of good elements can promote things like interactions or get more people visiting your business website, perhaps, or generally, I guess, at times, the end goal of getting people to buy from you as well. So let's have a look at how stories first and foremost can help your business out. So before we do that, we need to identify what is a social media story. What is this kind of concept or this feature of a story? So stories are typically temporary pieces of content that are posted on social media platforms. And the reason why they are temporary is the vast majority of the time, these stories will expire after 24 hours. So you might have seen these on platforms like Facebook, like the likes of Instagram, but also you might have seen these appear on WhatsApp as well. And these are, as I mentioned, these are temporary. They're just there for a fixed period of time, just for 24 hours. And you can see different types here on screen with these screenshots, different types of stories. So you've got kind of stories maybe promoting your business that you can add in there. You can add in things like a location where you're based. You can see here with this, with the second screenshot from the left, you've got a car mechanic business that's kind of using the functionality of questions. So they've kind of posed a question saying, "Need help fixing your car? Ask me anything." So I can actually just click in there and type whatever question that I might have, and then that business is able to choose, if they wish to, choose my question, respond to it, and then add that as a reply, and add it to their own story feed as well. You can also see with kind of the ice cream screenshots here that this particular ice cream shop are actually asking, "What's your favorite ice cream flavor?" So they're asking a poll as well, and that's promoting interaction. Now you can see that stories are not only kind of image based, they can also be just text based if they need to be as well. But then they can also be video based, as you can see here with the final screenshot on the right hand side as well. Now, why are stories so important? Well, because of these stats and figures that you can see here on screen. So you can see here that there's a huge figure on screen, which is that 500 million people use stories each and every day. Now, when I say use stories, they watch stories each and every day. You can see here that 70% of Gen Z, so these are individuals aged between 11 and 26 years old, and 59% of millennials, so these are individuals aged between 27 and 2 years old, they watch stories. So that's a huge market. That's a huge age range that you are hopefully looking to kind of capture the attention of. And if you think about social media and social media platforms in their entirety, so not only things like kind of Facebook and Instagram, but also the likes of kind of TikTok and YouTube as well, the main kind of aim of social media platforms is to get us viewing it and viewing it for a considerable period of time. And stories help us to do that, because over the years, as humans, our attention spans have actually decreased. So the average human attention span at the moment is roughly estimated to be about 8 seconds. However, when it comes to our attention spans, when it comes to social media and viewing social media content specifically, our attention spans actually drop to roughly about only 3 seconds. So that's not a lot, not a long period of time to grab somebody's attention. And that's where short and temporary piece of content like stories come into their own, as opposed to kind of permanent posts there as well. So think about your own kind of social media usage and behaviors. Think about when you kind of flick through a news feed, do you really have time to stop at every single post for every single person that you're following and actually really take stock of what that post is about, whether it be images, whether it be video, and kind of maybe even the caption, whether you're going to bother reading, or do you just keep flicking? Because remember, our attention spans now with social media are notoriously short, and that's where stories, which are kind of short bursts and short pieces of content, really come into play. Now, the benefits of using social media stories is that we can build trust. Now, the beauty of social media is that we can get our name out there, we can get our brand out there, we can get across our values, so who we are, what we're about as a business, and we can showcase different sides to our business, which maybe our website can't, because a lot of the time a website is there just kind of providing information. Whereas social media, we can provide and kind of show off our personality. And when we show off our personality, especially as a business, we're able to build a rapport, and through building rapport with our viewers, we are starting to build trust, or our viewers are starting to build trust with us as a brand, and that's kind of hopefully taking that individual down maybe a sales journey process as well. We can also encourage interaction through social media stories, which is a great benefit, because sometimes as viewers we can be just very passive. And that's where using things like questions and polls that we saw earlier on can really engage those viewers as well, and kind of make them kind of interested and invested in what you've got to say with your stories in general as well. We can also stay relevant and topical as well. So the beauty of social media stories is that they are temporary. So compared to kind of maybe permanent posts that we put up on our social media profiles, social media stories are temporary. So we can talk about something which might be trending in the world, for example. And if that's in correlation in relation to maybe the industry that our business is in, that's great, because hopefully we're getting more visibility onto our story, and through visibility onto our story, hopefully there's more people interested in our business and what we've got to sell, whether that be a product or a service. And with kind of social media, you can see that we can social media stories can be more visible. So with visibility, you might have kind of noticed or kind of encountered with certain social media platforms sometimes. Sometimes you might not see permanent posts for individuals that you actually follow, but chances are you're more likely to see their stories a lot of the times as well, compared to the permanent posts. And that kind of, again, is allowing us to kind of put ourselves kind of front and center in front of our viewers going forward as well. And naturally, we can drive traffic through social media stories. So the beauty of social media stories, when we come on to how to create a social media story in just a moment, is that we can add a link directly through to a product page for the product that we are promoting on a social media story as well. So we're getting more individuals visiting our website. And when I say individuals, you can replace that word with potential customers as a phrase instead, if you wish to as well. So let's now actually have a look at kind of creating a social media story. And the best way to kind of do that is by looking at some social media stories that have been created before. So when it comes to creating social media stories, you've got an example here of Drums and Flats, who are a food business, and you can see that here they've got hashtag Wing Wednesday, which kind of alludes to the products that they create, the food that they create. But you can see different elements here that are pointed out. So things like partners, have they partnered with other businesses? They've actually pinned a location, so they've actually added in where this particular short video kind of that's on loop has been created. They've used a popular hashtag which they might have researched, which is hashtag Wing Wednesday. They added some music, and for me, I think music really kind of plays a huge factor in terms of bringing people in. Not everybody's going to be listening to music. They might just be looking at a story, and they might not want to switch the music on, especially if they're in kind of a quiet environment. But something very, very important that you probably see towards the bottom, as well as you can see that it says book now as a sticker. You can also see that there's something known as a call to action, which is a prompt for the person on the other end of the screen to take an action off the back of viewing this particular story, which is use the link in our bio to book your table for this Wednesday. So that's a prompt. When we as kind of viewers and consumers of content, especially online, we don't really know sometimes what to do next. And that's where a good prompt comes into play. And you can see similarly with Soulcap, they're sharing kind of product information. You can share reviews and messages as well. So some top tips for kind of creating social media stories: have a purpose as to why you are posting. Is it for entertainment? Is it for information purposes? Is it to kind of drive sales? Be engaging, and polls can be useful as well. Be authentic, showcase your brand values, get yourself across in terms of what you're about. I think that's very, very important, because people buy from people, albeit through kind of virtual and digital means. People still like to know the personality of your business, what you're about. You know, what are some of the staff members like? What do they enjoy doing, maybe outside of work? And that's where social media comes into play. And social media stories, temporary content, can really be useful as well. And something very important with social media, whether it be stories, whether it be posts, is be consistent with your posting, whether it be kind of short form or whether it be long form content, because that builds trust. Consistency builds trust, especially with social media. It can be a wall of noise. We don't want to get lost in that noise. So even if we are posting only a handful of times per day or per week, we want to make sure that they are quality rather than quantity going forward as well. So apart from that, it's kind of over to you in terms of what you're going to be doing going forward with social media stories for yourself. And just picking up on a quick question, where do you find theme ideas for social media pages like brand aesthetics? I like to use kind of the likes of Canva, which is a fantastic graphic design tool. They've got a version that you can use at no charge. And yeah, the rest of it, I guess you can kind of Google, have a look at YouTube videos, and the likes of kind of Pinterest also is great for kind of inspirations as well. So thanks very much for that question there, Kakuya. Apologies if I pronounced that incorrectly there. So in terms of your next steps, definitely check out the Google Digital Garage website. Sign up for more webinars like this, either short form in 15-minute webinar sessions or longer versions that we have on other topics, which usually last for 1 hour. Also, check out the online courses on the Google Digital Garage website. They're available to complete at no charge. There is one in particular called the Fundamental of Digital Marketing that upon completion, you'll actually receive a certificate at no charge from Google as well. So definitely check out all of those resources. So apart from that, I want to say a massive thank you to Samantha, who I'm sure agrees has been a wonderful chat moderator. So feel free to show your appreciation down below for Samantha in the live chat. And thank you all for tuning in to this Google Digital Garage webinar session. And I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Thank you. Bye.